Good morning, everyone. Tony Saraceno Baseball Show. If you've been following me and you like what I've got to say, hit subscribe at the bottom of the screen. Today is Sunday, May 24th, and we have seen a complete regression the last 2 days of the New York Mets. I'm not one to go and, some people like to revel in the long history of failure of the Mets and woe is me as a fan and the pain. I get it. All right. I hate to be negative with the Mets. I hate to start things off in a negative way. It's almost like sometimes the fans begin to almost root for them to do poorly just so they can have something to scream about. So I've always been one to temper that type of negativity and just try to realize that it's a really long season and that we always try to stay even keel. But there are a couple of, like a horse race, there are a couple of checkpoints in the season. One of them has always been Memorial Day. It's a little early this year, but generally Memorial Day is your 1/3 of the season complete, and you take a look at that 1/3 point, and then the next important would be July 4th or right after the All-Star break. So you got your 2/3 point of the season. It's not quite 2/3, but it's at that point, sometime in mid-July, where you're at the 2/3 point of the season. You're going to, you make your decision whether or not you're going to buy or sell. I think the Mets, to be quite honest with you, at 1/3 point of the season, I think this is going to end up to be a lost season. They just don't have enough of anything. Okay, we're 52 games into the season. It'll be 54 on Monday. They're 8 games under 500. They're 22-30. 7 games out of a wild card. 13.5 behind the Braves, who are running away with it in the division, and I don't see them ever getting close to the Braves. We've got a bunch of teams that have to jump over into to get the wild card. But what's really disconcerting is this team just can't hit. And the rookies had injected a little bit of life into the team. But like all rookies, they're going to struggle. They struggled yesterday, 0 for 8, 6 strikeouts. And there's just no one there left to pick up the slack. You thought that Bichette would be one. He had a couple of good games, and he hit some home runs, and you were hoping that he could begin to step it up. But even if he did step it up, he joined Soto. What are we really looking at here? To give you the stats of the Mets the last 2 games, Mets went 3 for 28 on Friday, and they went 3 for 29 on Saturday. If you go ahead and you look at the box scores, they almost look identical between the 2 games. 2 RBIs. I can't figure it out as far as, it's the Marlins. I get it. They have some decent pitchers, but and I thought Meyer yesterday he's off to a tremendous start. Maybe he can shut down anybody. He was 5-0.
What are you doing here?
Mr. Big Time Capital One, thank
Every time I go to
God.
ESPN, I get a commercial.
We should just move in with
and I
you.
Or
apologize.
just stop by.
But Max Meyer is, he's off to a good start. So he could shut anybody down at 5-0, 2.52 ERA. Looking really good. Yuri Perez on Friday wasn't pitching well. He had a over 5 ERA coming into the game. And I know the Mets went with a bullpen game, which I'll tell you was about as good as it can go for the Mets in a bullpen game. I mean, they only gave up 2 runs. Minaya got stuck with the loss, which was really a tough loss. Tong came in and pitched very, very well, and maybe he can help a little bit. But if this team doesn't hit, or is going to be this, offensively, they are the worst team in the division. It's not even close. Their OPS is 40 points behind the next team in just their division. And on the back of any of these baseball cards, aside from Soto and Bichette, I don't count Marcus Semien. I don't count him because his card is going downhill every year. I don't see him as a savior. So Soto's going to hit. He's going to walk about 140 times at some point in this lineup. But, Bichette is supposed to hit. But we got 2 rookies who hopefully can do something. But think about it. Simeon is going nowhere. Morabito, is he going to be your answer? Is this the guy who's going to come up here and make a difference in this lineup? Torrens, however long Alvarez is going to be out, is he going to make a difference in this lineup? Beatty? All right, it gets to a point with Beatty and Vientos. And Vientos had 2 to 3 hits yesterday. But it gets to a point where what are you going to be? You're going to have 2 guys in the middle of the lineup who are going to bat 230 with 17 homers and 21 homers. That's just not going to get it done when you have nothing else in the lineup helping anyway, aside from Soto. So I don't know where the Mets are going to go to get offensive players. And this team, again, I'm going to blame David Stern, and I am so, if I want to be pissed off at anybody, this guy, again, and I said this in the very first podcast that I did, this guy dismantled this team. And the replacements that he got in here, they're not on the field or they stink. So, I mean, what were you thinking? That, you didn't like Alonso, but where were you going to get 35 home runs and 110 RBIs? Who's going to step up into this? What guy was going to do this? What guy is going to bat 265 and hit 25 homers and 90 RBIs, which was Nimmo? Where? Did you think Polanco had one good year in the last 6? Or Roberts were going to step up and do this? Did you expect Simeon to do this offensively after the year he had last year? He batted 230, 14 homers. He's going downhill. His bat speed's getting slower and slower. So this is really just a failure of the personnel decisions that the Mets have made. There's nothing else. It's not like you could say, I mean, Bichette is the only guy you could say, oh, well, we brought him in and he's not producing to his baseball card. That's fair. But the other guys, they were just not good. I mean, Alonso's in his prime. Nimmo is in his prime. And they're gone. And you're not getting 65 home runs and 210 RBIs out of Beatty and Vientos. You're not getting that. So where are you getting it from? Are you going to bring somebody in here? I don't see it happening. I see the Mets actually selling probably, I think even right now, a 500 month for June. And the Mets, if the Mets are still 8 games under 500 on June 20th, let's say, I can't see them. I can't see anything happening. And, I don't even think their starting pitching is going to really come around. I'm not buying into that either. Without Holmes, I mean, I am not sold. I know he's got great stuff, McLean, but can you tell me right now he's going to go 15-6 with a 2.6 ERA and make 29 starts? I mean, can he do that? I would have a 3.1 ERA? I don't know. I can't say that for certain. Based on, I mean, we know he's got great stuff, but these guys have growing pains. These guys can get hurt. They're rookies. It's not Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavin anymore. You don't have 3 guys walking in here who are going to, stay healthy and throw you 200. Even I'd take 200 innings from those guys. He's just not going to get it. You already lost Holmes. Peterson, no. Peralta, I see Peralta this year. I see 9-12 for Peralta this year. 10-11, maybe 11-11 at best case scenario. I mean, he finally made it into the 7th inning on Friday. He threw 108 pitches to do it. I do think Mendoza's getting a little smarter. He realizes that he's got bullpen games coming up left and right, and he just can't afford to blow out his bullpen. So he is managing the pitching a little bit better. But it's kind of interesting when you manage it from a position of weakness. You're always preparing for the next game. And when you're in a position of strength, like you're over 500, sometimes you manage like you have to win this game to stay in first place. So you have to, I think that's what he fell prey to last year. And he blew out that bullpen. And he was pulling pitches way too early. He seems to, I think McLean and Peralta are the 7-inning guys. I think he's realized that they have to throw 7 innings every time out. And, that's just really, there's no margin of error. If they don't throw 7 innings, the other guys aren't helping out. Scott's not going to throw 7 innings. He's going to pitch today. Anybody want to take an over-under says that he throws a pitch in the 6th inning? And who would bet their life on that? I wouldn't bet my life on that. I wouldn't even bet $100 on that he's going to throw 1 pitch in the 6th inning today. Peterson's a 5-inning guy. I don't see him being able to do this. You may get something out of Tong. Okay. He looked good. Looked very good today, but on Friday, he threw 3 innings. I like what I saw. His off-speed pitches were devastating, I thought. They actually is what set up his fastball. So, okay, who knows with Tong? I mean, I don't know, but it is getting very dicey. Can Manaea? Manaea pitched a good game, gave you a good 3 innings the other day, still got an ERA over 5, but are you going to move him in the rotation? Be nice if you could. I almost think that with the Mets, their idea of getting a guy in the rotation is we'll just keep throwing openers and let Manaea throw 4 innings instead of somebody going. The Mets think they're reinventing the wheel here now. Let's go throw our opener 1 inning, and then we come in with our guy behind him, which was Peterson on the one day and was Manaea yesterday. Let's have them come in and throw 3-4 innings as if they were a starting pitcher. Which the only thing I'll say about that is, at least I think you got to learn with Manaea. You don't want to be bringing Manaea in with men on base. You want Manaea to start the inning, or at least come on with nobody on base. You don't want him coming in and pitching from the stretch. I don't like it. I don't think he likes it. He seems to be very uncomfortable when he does it. Is Austin Warren going to be that guy as well? You're going to start throwing him in there. This is going to be just a bullpen of bodies, and you're going to win these games now. The Mets seem to think they're going to win every game now with bullpen. They've devalued their starting pitching because they have none. That's their own fault, though. That's their own fault. I mean, I don't see where anybody. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Tong in this rotation full time in a couple of weeks. They may be that bad off. I did see that Kimbrel was designated for assignment. Thank God. I was done with him, and I think he's done. He didn't need to be on the Mets. And again, you took a flyer on him. I don't like the way Stearns builds a team. I don't care about the Brewers. This is New York. You got to get New York players in here. You got to get mentally tough guys. And I'm not saying any of the Mets guys are not mentally tough, but they got to understand how to play in New York. And I don't see these guys here. I think they keep looking to the guy to their right to pick them up. And that's okay. The ball players do that all the time. And it's great if you got Soto sitting on your right, but three players down, you can't look to your right and see Soto. Okay, you may look to your right and see Luke Weaver. You got to look at yourself, and you got to say, I'm the guy that's going to win the game for us today. And I don't think the Mets have those kind of players. I think they're all just, and you can't expect rookies to do that. So I don't really know how the Mets are going to get us. They better win today. They lose today, and basically they'll be 9 games under 500 if they lose today, right? And basically, so then in the last 2 weeks, they'd be right back to almost where they started. I mean, you don't want to get swept by the Marlins, but the Marlins just came out and did a number on the Mets bats the last 2 days. And one of the guys, like I said, was good, but the other guy, I mean, I can't. I mean, it's one thing not to hit, like I said, to hit a good pitcher, but I mean, you tell me who Perez was. This guy's never had any career here. He's basically, he's thrown a few, innings every year the last 2 years. Okay, 50 innings, 60 innings, 5 ERA. And who is the guy? He comes out here and he just dominates you. So the problem is really the Mets just don't have a lineup. The Mets don't have enough starting pitching. And the Mets are going to turn their strength, which is their bullpen, into a mess because of the other factors that are going on in this team. And at a $320 million payroll, I just can't see how they're going to go out and fix it for this year. So it's been, right now, not a surprise. A lot of Met fans have seen this coming. A lot of people felt that when he let those players go, and another quiet guy that they've never filled the shoes of was Starling Marte. I mean, seriously. Another guy, I know he was older, but there's a guy who's probably a good clubhouse presence. He came up, and he was so good for the Mets. He was so good for the Mets. And they let him go. All right. He's a spot player for the Royals. What he's doing for the Royals, he could have done for the Mets. He's batting .290 for the Royals. Incredible that his years for the Mets, especially his last 2 years after he got hurt, as a part-time player, was a .270 batting average, 745 OPS. Where are you going to get these guys? Where are you going to find these players? He was a good fielder, great in a clubhouse, and they nope, too old, hit the road, and don't replace his numbers either. I'm not. I'm not gonna. I want to turn around and call him a mealy mouth, arrogant, pencil pusher, analytics geek, but I'm not. I don't. He's got his views on how he builds a team. I disagree with them tremendously, and a lot of fans saw this coming. So no one is, there's almost like, it's not a surprise that you're seeing this. So, note to David Stern. Note to Steve Cohen. How about that? Fire David Stern. Another guy who's actually off to a pretty good start and playing pretty well is Jeff McNeil. They'd have been, like I talked about, they'd have been a great utility guy. He's another guy batting .270, and just helping the ball club. So he's got guys in here. This team doesn't mesh. It doesn't connect. And, maybe Lindor gets back in July and injects a little something into this offense, but I don't see that happening. So I'd be prepared, Met fans. This is going to be, I think, a very long season, although it's early still, but we are almost a third of the way through. You can't keep treading water like this. You need to go on a run, and you need to sustain it. You need to have a month where you win 18 games. You go 18-12. You go 19-11 for the month, or 19-10. And bad teams don't do that. Bad teams win well, win some games for a week, and then they go right back to where they were and lose games the next week. And the Mets are showing that. So let's see. We got Christian Scott going today. Again, I see this, him managing this game. It rarely, Brazoban, Weaver, and Williams, no matter what happens, 6, 7, 8, 9, I could see this coming, regardless if he's pitching great, Scott, or not. So, I don't see him even going past the 5th inning. That's about all I got for you today, Met fans. Let's see what today brings. And I'll probably shoot you one of these tomorrow. I'll be at the Met game on Tuesday. And I'll see how it goes. They'll have the Reds on Tuesday. So stay dry. I know the Memorial Day weekend has been a washout. Mets, like I said, are in Miami, so they're in the Dome. At least they're staying dry. Because I gotta tell you, their offense is all washed up. That's a bad joke. All right, guys. I'll see you.